Hello, can you hear me? I don't see anything going on with the mic here. Cancel. Hello, hello, testing, hello. I don't know if anyone can hear me or not. All right, well, I have no idea if the audio is working. My camera position is crap, but we're going live. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing streaming live here, but that has never stopped me before, so why should it now? It does occur to me this view's a little awkward the way it's at, so I may look at repositioning it in the future, but for now we'll go with it. This stream is all about doing stuff and chatting while I do it. Now, as a writer, my name is Leto Armitage, and I know a lot of people feel like I should do writing streams because I write. But you know what? I decided I wanted to do stuff with my hands while I talk to people. So you're getting to see some of my nerdier hobbies. In this case, I am taking the components of a big 3D printed dice tower, and I'm going to clean it up and get it ready for actual use. So 4 big pieces, and let's get started. My first challenge is getting these together. Now, when you print, you often end up with these little spurs and other stuff that is useful to trim up so you can get things sitting just right. I'm going to go ahead and start that here. Using my trusty hobby knife, which you should not cut towards yourself, but I'm doing it very slowly. And you can't see that really, can you? Pull this up more. There we go. I think that's better. I'm going to have to look at my setup here and see how to do things a little better in the future. I printed these pieces a few weeks ago and just hadn't gotten around to getting it all fitted yet. Ooh, some bad spurs on this one. So let's try to get it fitted now and glued up. Now, just because these things come from a CAD program and they fit perfectly in CAD does not mean they always fit perfectly in real life. Definitely need to rearrange this a little bit. Hold on. Move some parts of this broken storm strider over here. Bring this a little more central. There we go. That's better, I think. Let's see. Those two barrels are awfully close. Too close. There we go. There we go. Fits like a cheerleader on prom night. Now, I still have a bit of a gap there. That's a bit much for glue, but let's go ahead and secure the sides here where they're fitting a little tighter. I am a big fan of Gorilla Glue, the gel Gorilla Glue. I've used it for years on many things. I like that it doesn't run heavily. Let's get it down in that crack a little bit. And it'll dry pretty fast. And because it's gel, whoops, I can even use it here. Help secure this. Oop. And screw it. We'll just use our fingers. Let's get this all set in there. That'll give us a nice seal. Not much leakage. And there's nobody here, but hello to the ghosts. Dun 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 dun. This is really just for practice for me getting used to streaming anyway. And now I have dried super glue on my finger, because of course I do. We're going to put this aside. Let this continue to dry some. Let's grab another piece. Let's grab these two pieces. We need to remove all these supports that printed on here. Some of them come off super easy like that, but not all of them do. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a tool. All right. These are my handy needle nose pliers. Sometimes it can be hard to tell what is a support and what is part of the architecture, but if you look closely, you can usually tell. The only time it gets really hard to tell sometimes is when there are things like vines that are part of the print. And I've had that happen where I found myself trying to take off an actual vine. Now, it might be that some really fancy printers don't have to do all these levels of support. I have a fairly cheap basic 3D printer from Anycubic, but I have found it absolutely delightful. I'm not taking as much advantage of it as I could, because for that I need to learn how to do more 3D modeling myself, which is absolutely on my to-do list. But so is getting my books written, playing games, reading, and trying to get into as much trouble as I can without, getting convicted of any crimes. Or charged, in fact. I'm too pretty for prison, folks. We're not doing that. Now, sometimes, especially these larger pieces of support, they can be pretty tough. I mean, they are there for support, so they do have a lot of connecting pieces. Dum 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 dum. Taking off all the supports, and now we see the windows. I don't know about anyone else, but me, who started building terrain out of cardboard and foam and reading articles about it and gaming magazines back in the 1980s, well, 70s. This is like magic to me. But I can print out this thing. There's supports inside here. That's a pain that took us. You don't want supports on the inside because then your dice aren't going to go through the dice tower very effectively. Oh, this is going to be interesting to get to. But we shall. Let's get rid of some of these more on the outside here. Oh, wait a minute. These are not supports. See, this is what I was talking about before. It can be easy to not tell the difference between a support and a piece of it. I think these might be pieces of it. This is not. This is a support. But these are actual vines growing. They're supposed to be growing on it. Now, can't see very well in there. Let's see if we can get it up here and get some light on it. There's there's definitely still some in there. Let's see some here. Some of that's far enough back it's not going to affect the dice moving. I see some there that might. Still have some super glue on my hand and it's getting sticky there. Now, some people see waste from these parts. I'm thinking you could make some little trees for terrain out of this, actually. Huh. I have to think about that. A lot of it's going to be little crap pieces I need to throw away, though. Maybe put a little trash can over here on the side of the office. Get some of this glue on my finger. Be very careful doing this, folks. You do not want to scrape your fingertip off. All right. Looks like I got the supports pretty well here. So now, let's take a look at this piece. Either it didn't have much in the way of supports or I already took them off. Either way, let's start trimming. So what I'm doing now is that when you print, you often have these little pieces, probably not easy to see, there we go. They're just kind of detritus on the edges of the print. I'm just taking those off and tidying up the print a little bit. We don't need those little loose pieces just hanging out there. Excuse me. I realize as I'm doing this that I've made a horrible mistake and that I've started a stream without making tea first. And a morning without tea is a morning without hope. But I was really eager to see how this would work and what it would be like. So I'm trying it. I wonder if I can record this at the end and have it to look back on. I hope so. So I'd like to review this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got really nice steps in there for helping randomize the dice rolling down. But I'd like to review this video and see what I did well and what I did not do well. This is starting to dry. I'm going to take this. This is going to sit right on here. There are 3 little stubby support points. I am not going to call them dongs. Jesus. I've had easier time getting something inside a Vietnamese girl. Jesus. Let's do a little scraping around the edge here. Make sure that's not what's blocking us. Oh, that's nice and secure. But, what are we seeing here? Still not laying, it is not laying flat. Where is it not laying flat due to? Push it down some more. I really want to lay flat, and it's not laying flat over here. See that gap there? That's just too much. So I have a few options. I'm trying to decide what's the best route to take here. It's pretty good right here. As you can see, it's coming down close here, but there's a big gap over here. I'm not seeing where it's not laying flat. So I'm thinking what I may do is, rather than just push it down and try to force it 100% into place, is I may mix up some epoxy and just seal those gaps up. I'm leaning towards that, definitely. But before I mix up the epoxy, let's see how the top sits on it. You should always take care of your heads. Pretty sure this is right. Yes. Boom. However, it definitely needs some trimming here. Look at that. And as I do this, I'm thinking a little bit about the rat catchers. That's serial I'm currently doing right now. About 500 to 800 words a day, and largely improving it. It's starting out intentionally as a very traditional, simple fantasy story. Although probably with some, modernist views on it that aren't quite as traditional. May not be everyone's cup of tea. If you don't like things like metaphors for social injustice popping up, or indeed if the phrase social injustice triggers you, my writing may not be for you, and that's okay. I understand. And frankly, I get it. While I fully embrace the idea that we need social justice in the world, I understand how the phrase can also be triggering to people who are tired of holier than thous using it like a club. Performative justice social media heads are not fun to listen to. Nonetheless, I think our storytelling, including that heavily for entertainment, can include lessons. And I think things that are important to us in the world filter through in our art and entertainment. It's one of the reasons I wrote in a recent newsletter, fuck, may the 5th be with you, or may the 4th be with you. Sorry, 5th is revenge of this 5th. May the 4th be with you. Because frankly, I don't like a world in which political figures, who are, in my mind, the enemy, are co-opting it. And the fundamental story of Star Wars is a story of anti-fascism. And I don't want to celebrate anti-fascism with commercialization. Just doesn't interest me. All right, I've got 4 connection points here. And like the other one, they seem to be very tight and picky. I am going to do something that is dangerous here. I am going to put some glue down so that when I get this connection made, it sticks. Not that there seems to be a lot of danger of it not sticking. This is tight. This kind of 3D printed material, glue works really well on. Bonds like crazy. So this shit's going to be permanent. All right, come on. Come on, damn you. Maybe that's not the right. Aha, I had it rotated a little bit. That looks right. Whew, fumes from the glue are strong. Come on. Come on, damn you. I had to carve these out some on the other one. Maybe I have to do it here too. Now let's get that little detritus out of there so it doesn't block it. Rods should always go into holes very smoothly. Make of that what you will. Come on. That's it. All right, needs a little bit more on this side. See that gap? No bueno. Come on. Come on. Why are you not going down? Son of a gun. Oh. Okay. Before the glue sets, let's see if we can get this side back up and see what we can do to improve this. Son of a gun. Come on. Let's get this detritus out of there because it could be blocking the way. I don't know if that's from the cleanup or from the original print. Let's just get that out of there. All right, let's try this again. Vines go to vines. That's right. Aha! Perfect. Look at that. Beautiful. Still going to want to use some epoxy there because I want to smooth out those lines and make it nice and seamless. Oh, I have a little support there I missed. Let's get the more narrow tool in here. There we go. Okay, so the next stream I do, I am going to start looking at epoxying this up, and then I'll paint it. The epoxy will be fun, I think. But we have a moral obligation. We have a dice tower. We need to put some dice in it and see how it rolls. All right, one moment. I retrieved a random handful of dice. Well, not a handful, but a few dice from my bucket of dice. 3, another 3, although it knocks the first 3 into a 17. 5, 1, well, and an 8. Not the most auspicious beginnings for the dice tower, but maybe it just needs to get its bad luck out of the way. No, I'm not really a believer in that kind of mysticism. Anyway, so here we go. First iteration of this dice tower. Got the pattern off Colts 3D. I think it's going to be a really cool tower. All right. That's it for my first stream. just trying this out and seeing how it works.